This is Governor Bob Ehrlich. Good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Go.
You're watching Dr. Politics.
They're Dr. Politics. He's the one to see. Breaking down the news with sharp analysis. From Congress halls to campaign trails, he tells the truth when all else fails. They're Dr. Politics, Dr. Politics, exposing the spin, the lies and tricks. Dr. Politics, Dr. Politics, he calls it straight, no politics as usual. Love from backroom deals to primetime fights. He sheds some light and sets things right. Debates, elections, policy. He cuts through all the DC sleaze. Oh, Dr. Politics, he's got the facts. Dr. Politics, no holding back. Dr. Politics, go away. Dr. Politics, he's got the facts. Dr. Politics, no holding back. Dr. Politics.
Hey, it is Friday, May 29th, and we're finally back after, I guess, a 3 or 4 week hiatus.
I was going to say, when was the last time we were all together?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, I think it's been before. I think the last show was before you left for Korea.
Probably so.
And because the following week we did an AI training where Chris was there and Mike Allred was there. And then the following week we had the convention. Then I was out globe trotting. And then that was 2 weeks. And now we're back. The year is almost half over, Don. 2026, we're entering into June. We're at the halfway mark. We're at lunchtime if this were a working day. And I tell you, one of the biggest things I noticed when I got back, not just the fact that the Japanese pay a lot more and the Germans pay a lot more and the Swiss pay a lot more than we do for gasoline, but prices are up here too. Although today crude oil really fell through the floor. I think at one point it was $86. I don't know where it closed, but it was like
maybe that's where the market was up. Well, the market was up today, so I noticed the stock market tends to go up as the oil price comes down, and vice versa.
Yeah, but I'm an Exxon Mobil shareholder, so lower oil price is not always a good thing.
Well, it probably still is for you because that's one stock, and you're paying for gas. And my understanding is gas costs are like $5,000 to $10,000 a year for people.
Yeah.
Is it something like that?
And I know Chris probably has felt the pinch of the high price of gas, but it's not as high as it was when Joe Biden was president.
Oh, that's true.
Remember that, everyone. It was over $5.50 in our area when Joe Biden was.
And it may not be cold comfort to people. It may be cold comfort to people, but the reality is we got a war going on in the Middle East, and gas prices are still lower than they were when Joe Biden was president.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's quite remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the average price of gas, as I've noted here, is actually, it was down, according to AAA, down to $4.39 on a national average. Maryland is $4.25, but you can find it lower if you look around. Yep. Virginia is apparently equivalent to Maryland, so at this point, but they're going back in the right direction, and they're going to need to go in that direction for the midterms too, I think.
Oh yeah.
So there are parts of Frederick County where it's down below 4, 385, 395. But I can tell you the silver lining of high gas prices, it forces me to use my favorite campaign vehicle, which is the Harley. So if the wife complains about me on the bike, I say, I'm just trying to help out with the costs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, look, there's nothing like a candidate on a Harley. What a great thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I get a lot of second looks.
Yeah, I love it.
But you realize that gas prices are such the driver sort of inflation, because the higher the gas prices to ship anything, including ourselves, anywhere, the cost goes up, and that cost is going to have to be passed on somehow.
Right.
Well, we had a candidate.
We've seen that though. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, we've been in this thing for 3 months, and it definitely has affected costs all across the board, because transportation, I mean, does factor into shipping food and other items, and some of that will come down, but some of that might stick, because manufacturers always like to see if they can't keep a little bit extra of that profit along the way. But we'll see. But
Well, one thing
I mean, we're celebrating sub $4 gas. Like, we need to get down to below 3 again, guys.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if we get the war settled, straits open, Trump will get potentially, I'm trying to look on the bright side, a huge boost, because the price will come down. I still think fairly rapidly, because once it gets settled, even though it takes a while to come online, I just think psychologically, in terms of futures, the price will come down pretty
Hey,
high.
I told all the people around the world, just buy American oil. Just buy it from us. You don't need to buy it from Iran. You can buy it from us.
I guess we got to produce more, though.
I tell you, one of the things we need to do is build a canal so you can bypass the strait, so this never happens again.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
That ought to be the lesson.
Like I tell you, I was in India. Everyone's complaining about the high price of gas. I'm like, well, how about you guys send your Navy and help us open up the straits? You don't want to do that. It's like, that's the problem. All these countries want us to do the heavy lifting, and they want the benefits.
The short version, we've been subsidizing global security and the global economy for the last 50 years. And everyone thought that was just going to be a constant, including China. I think this shift is a big part of resetting expectations around how much of that cost we're going to absorb, without them having to project some of their own combat power if they want to protect their interests. Couldn't agree more, though.
And I tell you, if we can control the flow of Iranian oil after all this, we can choke China. We can choke them, literally. 100%. They're not getting Venezuelan oil. They're not going to get Iranian oil.
Yeah, I mean, look what we've done to Cuba.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I saw when I think I was in Japan when I saw that they indicted the leader of Cuba.
Raul, formerly.
Yeah. Raul Castro.
I don't know how that. I don't know what's going to be the effect of that. But I mean, it's just there is a continuing pressure on the U.S. on Cuba, and they were a mess before, but now they're in terrible shape, even worse.
Yeah. When we indicted Noriega, we sent the troops in to get him.
Well, and same thing with Maduro. Remember, this is shades of Maduro, because he got indicted and then under Biden, but I mean, Biden wasn't going to do anything about it, but then Trump went in. So
maybe we could, but I tell you, I was overseas when I heard that John Cornyn lost the primary in Texas to Bill Paxton.
Yeah, it wasn't as close. It wasn't close. I thought it might be closer.
And honestly, John Cornyn is a good guy. I feel bad that he lost.
Yeah, he is.
But one thing I will tell all the Texas Democrats who are jumping for joy: you guys are like the Chicago Cubs fans. In the spring, you're so excited. They were this excited about Beto O'Rourke. They were excited about, Ann Richards. They were. Then September hits them in their face when they're like 20 games under 500.
Well, Tallarico is a nut, and they're hitting them hard as they should. I don't know about you. There's something about Tallarico. Two things, and then I'll give my assessment. The first is one of the podcasters they refer to him as like Richie Cunningham. The other, Alfred E. Newman. Trump called him Alfred E. Newman type. There's a certain Joel Osteen quality about him. I don't know if it's the svelte build or the angel-like voice, or it's the hair without a part, but there's something about him stylistically that's just sort of kind of odd. But his views on religion are just nuts. I mean, and they're going to hit him on that. You know, the whole God is non-binary. The Lord's Prayer is "Our Father who art in heaven." Now, if that's your key prayer of your church, and then you say, well, it's non-binary, it doesn't make any sense. So, plus the whole meat thing, apparently he's an aspiring vegan.
Hey, him and Beto, wasn't Beto a vegan also?
I don't know. But I just think that, I think if Democrats had nominated someone decent, and I don't know that they have anyone decent, I think it could be a real battle. Because Paxton's got a lot of baggage too. But I think Tallarico is just, in the end of the day, is just too far left. Some argue that he would be too far left, say, for Wisconsin. But certainly Texas.
Only Texas Democrat that could stand a chance of winning, if they could find themselves a Lloyd Benson type.
Yeah, those are gone.
Or an Ann Richards would be tough for.
Well, Colin, she's dead, but Colin Allred, who dropped out of the race to run for his old house seat, Colin Allred would have made it a much tougher case. Beto was probably done by now, so they couldn't really go back to Beto. Jasmine Crocker would have done worse than Tallarico, though. Because, but anyway, yeah.
But
it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, Trump obviously had a big effect on the primaries. I mean, he's really basking in the glow of his endorsements winning, and getting rid of Massey and things like that. But getting rid of Cornyn is not necessarily a victory, as we've been talking here. Just Paxton has got a lot of liabilities, and it does crack open the door for the Democrats. Is Tallarico strong
and
enough
we're gonna have to
take advantage of that? I'm not sure, but it could be a close race. But it's hard to say in Texas. Texas is still pretty loyal, red, and I think they still have a hard time thinking that they're going to give a Senate seat to a Democrat. But
this means we're going to be spending money.
How Paxton runs his campaign too.
Yeah. This also means we're going to be spending money in Texas, which we should be spending in North Carolina, because I'm not too confident on it's going to be a cakewalk for our nominee in North Carolina. Frankly,
Georgia, we should be able to knock off Ossoff, but I don't know. That could be a tough battle. It shouldn't be.
I think it will be. I'm not too worried about Georgia, and then I know a lot of people are worried about Susan Collins, but I've seen her campaign. Everybody knows Susan.
Yeah,
and she's Susie in all the towns, and they love Susie, and she will win. She's not going to lose.
Democrats are struggling on that one anyway. Their nominees are they were having some trouble there. So,
and this is my sleeper pick, California. We're going to have two Republicans to choose from at the top. I don't think a single Democrat cracks over the 50 marks. We'll have a Republican governor, and I think even I guess he's an independent, the guy that's running for mayor of LA.
Yeah, because it's a nonpartisan race, I guess. Spencer Pratt. It's a jungle primary, and if someone gets over 50%, that's it. There's no general election. But I don't know. I'd like to think Spencer Pratt could win, but LA just seems like such a tough place for sanity and reason and conservatives. But maybe he's got great ads. He's running a good campaign. He's got the issues, I think, at this point with him. And Karen Bass is horrible. And the other candidate is even worse than Karen Bass, apparently.
I know. That is so hard to believe that Karen Bass is bad, but this is even worse than
you go further to the left with this person.
I mean, look at Maryland also. Right now we have 9 Republicans running for governor, vying for their job.
Wow.
Including one former Democrat who became a Republican.
Oh, who's that?
Ed Hale.
Ed Hale.
Yeah, he saw the light finally and became one of us.
Okay, good.
And I think he would be formidable against Westmore. Westmore's popularity is dropping. They're dusting off Joe. By the way, they're dusting off Joe Biden. He is going to speak at their fight, whatever. What are they calling it? Fight for something, whatever event they're having at Maryland Live on the 27th, a couple days before our red, white, and blue dinner. And it's a little early to bring Joe Biden out. I mean, couldn't you get like a relevant Democrat, like a Bill Clinton or somebody that people would actually get excited to go see? You know, even AOC would be, if I were a Democrat, go see Joe Biden or go see Bill Clinton. I'd rather go see Bill Clinton if I were a Democrat.
Yeah, if I were a Democrat, I would think I'd be rather unhappy with Biden. He screwed the party over and got us Trump. I mean, bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, Maryland Democrats, what happened? Was Kamala not available?
Yeah, I mean, even if Moore's popularity continues to drop, I don't know that the Republicans, really have a candidate that can beat him at this stage. This is not a good field at all.
No, this is like, I mean, this is a defense election. And you know what, let me tell you, this is what really irritates me when Republicans are attacking other Republicans. Rick Metzger is being attacked by Bob Long. I'm sorry, guys, would you rather Rick lose the primary and you end up with a Democrat in that seat? Just think about this. It's a defense election. It's not an offense election. We need to hold the seats we have and circle the wagons. We'll probably pick up one seat. I think Jessica Hare will win her Senate seat. And I think we'll pick up seats. We might pick up one House seat, but we may have to trade it off for a loss somewhere else. But I mean, this is just crazy.
Well, the
and by the way, these people, yeah.
No, I was going to say the problem too is just that when you don't have somebody good at the top of the ticket, it really makes it harder for the people down ballot to win their races. They're going to have to work that much harder, on that, and that's too bad because I mean that a good strong top of the ticket can help carry a lot of other people, but particularly in an off year like this, in this midterm deal, we've got, but we don't have that candidate at the top of the ticket, so I think it's questionable to some degree in terms of how Republicans respond. Do they come out and do they vote? Will they vote by mail? I mean, we already have the whole ballot fiasco. I mean, my ballot was fine, but I'm getting a new one anyway. And they say you need to destroy your old ballot. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
This is evidence. It goes into a Ziploc bag as People's Exhibit A. And even if that wasn't bad enough, we've also got they failed another audit for the state healthcare. An audit. They failed another audit. It's like 2 years in a row. Come on, guys, get that. What is your problem? We didn't. How many audits we failed under Governor Hogan and Governor Ehrlich? 0.
Yeah, I mean, common sense says, more than the Democrats need to go. All the tax and fee increases and everything have been too much. And I think it's rich watching Democrats in their commercials, talk about the affordability crisis and taxes or trying to think of this. It's like, who were the guys that voted for the high taxes and increases?
And they're the ones that caused it. It's kind of like Senate President Bill Ferguson was touting about the what is it? We're getting $150 to help offset our electric bills this year. Yeah, he's touting that. This is a problem you and your party caused by adopting the California green standards and demanding. I mean, I had a guy from US Perg knock on my door. It was funny. It was the day I got back too, and they're like, "Oh, you know why we're?" And they go, "It's because of all the data." I go, "No, it is not the data centers. It's the Californication of Maryland, is what it is. It's this over-reliant on green energy and blah 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 blah." And I am not signing any of your damn petitions, because I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with data centers, frankly. And I'm really irritated some of our Republican friends are hopping on the same bandwagon with every other Democrat about saying data centers bad. Data centers create jobs. Data centers are the source of revenue. Loudoun County, Prince William County became the richest counties in America because of all the money, the tax money they were receiving from the data centers. Well, unfortunately, in Maryland, a lot of those counties will probably just take that extra money and just blow it on something stupid like Montgomery County always seems to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Tell
mean,
me.
we just see liberals in Montgomery County. They're just it's it's not trim your budget and live within your means. It's increase taxes, put more pressure on working families. To the point that even some liberals are rebelling at this point. But they won't get out of their pattern and vote for the good guys. They just continue to vote for the same guys, and then they complain.
Yeah, I mean, look at MCPS. They're going to be asking teachers to retire early. Why? Because even after all the massive increase, they still say it's not enough. It's like having a giant bottle of M&Ms and then going, "Oh, that's not enough for me. I need more."
Well, that whole school budget thing is like, yeah, look, there's declining enrollment, so, and yet they still wanted more money for all these things. We've known for decades that the school system has got so many people in the middle management type of roles. It's ridiculous. They've got more, people in than they need. But they've built up this huge fat budget and this administrative monolith. And then when they're now this talk about, oh, well, you're going to get your budget cut. And so the school superintendent's like, oh, well, we're going to have to cut teaching positions and stuff like that. And so then some liberals say, oh, then no, we can't do that. Or the teachers is like, but you do have fewer students, and you can get the school system to cut some of that middle management out, and you will actually be fine. This is not something that you should be increasing for the sake of increasing every year.
And I want to say when Jerry Cave ran for state senate in 2010, he had statistics that said there were 3 administrators for every single teacher in MCPS. Shouldn't it be the other way around? 1 administrator for 3 teachers?
Yeah, I mean, for those of us that grew up in Montgomery County, Dwight, I mean, we just know that this is just a dramatic change from when we were younger.
Yeah,
we didn't see this much in that regard on that, and but yeah, so
test scores are down in Montgomery County. The reading proficiency is down. Math proficiency is down. The MCPS is patting themselves on the back because most of their kids are graduating in 5 years instead of 4. That is not something to be proud of. Our kids we're not Europe. We don't have a grade 13. You should be happier if you graduating kids in 3 years instead of 4.
Yeah, I mean, higher education has the same kind of issue, is that, lots of factors going on there, but they also face, demographics are what they are. Fewer kids are now, coming out, and, you just don't have the same pipeline that you did before for colleges and universities. And with Trump's reforms, there's been a lot more pressure. So they're starting to cut back, by large amounts. And, this is a shock to their system. But, we know that higher education was also bloated. I mean, they used the college, student loan program as a shield to fatten their bottom line. They've taken advantage of the research funding and everything like that. And it's like, why don't we just give the students a college education that's worth what they're paying for, rather than saddling them with debt, while administrators and all these people just walk away with fat paychecks.
Yeah, I agree. And along those lines, there's an article in the National Review I read yesterday about not necessarily, kind of a scam that the government dollars, the more government dollars are involved, the more fraud you're going to get, because people are pushing it to try to get grants. And they talk about this notion of the mentally, we don't use the term anymore, but when we were young, it was mentally retarded kids or mentally challenged or whatever they call them. But they've expanded that because now they put almost everybody on the spectrum. So now in schools, you may have someone who's a little awkward, kind of quiet, but they're lumping that person in with someone who's, say, mentally challenged. And so I don't know if it's Medicaid. There's a government program where they dole out money to help all these other kids. So in terms of mental issues, you get people that really have serious problems, kids with really serious problems, and then the awkward, shy kid. And so that's why, and I think that was part of the fraud in Minnesota, where they had parents would sign off on, yes, my kid is autistic or whatever, and then they'd get money, and they were trying to get more kids involved in all these different programs. So it's an interesting article that on the National Review about how this sort of fraud from Medicare, Medicaid, and social services fraud has exploded. And it's exploded based on the new standards you're getting in terms of candidates qualified to get aid. Yeah. And so the more people that can qualify, of course, the bigger the programs, and they continue to expand.
Well,
and that's why you have the Leering centers. Remember the Leering centers in Minnesota?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
well, here's some food for thought, Don. I mean, you and I are both Maryland alums. I think, Chris, you went to Maryland too, right?
I did not. University of Pittsburgh.
Oh, University of Pittsburgh. Okay, it's probably the same numbers hold true for you, but that was a private institution, not a public. It's not a state institution, right? University of Pittsburgh.
It's a hybrid. It's not. Yeah, it gets state funding, but it also has a private element to it.
Okay. Well, hey Don, what if you know what the tuition for in-state students, including room and board and fees and everything, was in 1989 and the fall of 1989?
I remember it was next to nothing when I was there in the late 70s, early 80s.
Well, it was $6,400. It's roughly $6,400 in 1989. Want to take a guess what it is today?
Got to be what, over 10,000, 12,000?
33,000 plus.
What? For Maryland?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That includes tuition fees, room and board. Okay, with that room and board, it's about $12,000. And but what's the point of going to college? You're not going to live on campus, but still, $33,000. That is insanity. And states like Texas, Tennessee, and Florida, they figured out how to create a $12,000, $15,000 undergraduate degree. Why can't Maryland? And the way they did, they stripped away a lot of the Common Core type classes that you had to take, like the diversity, the women's studies class, the ethnic studies class. They got rid of those. They got rid of, and they cut the bloat out. And one of our reporters, Carol Hughes, did an extensive writing on that story. And that kind of just blew me away, as in $33,000. These kids are going into debt. And they're not even being counseled right. They tell, oh yeah, go get a liberal arts degree. A liberal arts degree, good luck paying your loans with a liberal arts degree. You need to get a STEM degree. And if you have a liberal arts degree, you need to go to law school, frankly. It's the return on investment. You can't expect to go and be a sociology major and then go blame society because you can't find a job afterwards. Even people with like legitimate good majors have trouble too, because it's so costly, like you just said, at $33,000 and more. And then I would imagine in some of these professions, maybe you have too many people. With AI coming on, how many lawyers are we really going to need? You'd like to think we can get rid of a lot of lawyers, but anyway. See, AI, here's the thing, Mark Unkelfer, who's an attorney, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, as you're an attorney as well. AI does not know the law well enough to write a contract. Yeah. It can do little things. Like, it could write up a power of attorney. Okay. Yeah. Microsoft Docs has a power of attorney template you can use too. It can do things like that. It could probably do, I don't know, maybe a really simple will. But if you have like trusts and other stuff like that, you need to go to a real lawyer if you for something more complicated. Or if you're buying a business, you can't rely on AI to write the contract for purchasing a business. You're going to need a real lawyer for that, frankly.
What you're seeing is really it can do a lot. My brother does oil and gas. We were just together this week. Mm-hmm. And what he has done, he's written over 20,000 pages of documents that have been submitted to the court. He's recommended legislation in Pennsylvania. He has created an AI agent based on his writing style, his profile, and his research and published material.
Yep.
That has essentially eliminated the need for a paralegal and one or two associates. So then with that AI agent, he's able to get about a 60 or 70% solution on cases that are properly cited and properly interpreted based on how he's leveraged them in the past. So where he sees this as a huge cost savings is that he's never going to hire another associate. He's been practicing law for 30 years. He doesn't have a paralegal now either. So the problem you have is the knowledge gap of here's an experienced attorney. Instead of him teaching an associate, he's just going to use AI to do a lot of the preliminary work. And then he signs off on what is basically a verified draft. He then authenticates it as you would any good associate level work. A partner or a senior lawyer signs off on it. I agree. AI is coming for lawyers. It's coming for other professionals because it's a
and I tell you, it's going to hit the graphic artists first. I think because frankly, I used to do a lot of my own design. I mean, during our class, Chris, we designed a website for you without aid of a graphic artist. We just told it this is what we like, this is what we want, and it did a really good job of it. We also, and now today, I was playing around with a little bit more, Chris. I have made a WordPress template of that design. So you could just go in there and just make the changes you want. This is something I could have done programmatically, but it would have taken me about 3 weeks to do. I got this done in about a half a day because you have to go back and refine it and stuff like that. It's, like developers still a little safe. What's going to be is the graphic artists, they're going to go first, because especially most graphic artists I've dealt with have huge attitudes, frankly. And there's a couple of graphic artists I know, I cannot wait for them to be replaced by an AI chatbot. You feed enough information, it'll give you whatever you want, and it'll be pretty damn. And also, how Adobe charges like $90 a month to be able to use their privilege of using their stock images and stuff like that? That's going to be gone because there's no need for stock images when you can just take the free version of the Adobe Graphics, throw it into AI, say, hey, make this 4K and do this, and add that, thereby we're in good shape, frankly. You don't need to pay $89 a month to Photoshop to be able to use their vast library of images.
Yeah, I mean, the Wall Street Journal just had an article about Phoenix being kind of the capital of call centers in the United States.
Yep.
But those jobs are now disappearing because of AI. AI is taking those jobs away. And if you think about it, if you have called, companies for various things, you rarely get to talk to a person initially. You've got to go through some kind of tree. And a lot of that is really based on AI, asking you for some information. And then
you remember Geico? They used to say you get a live person within like 15 minutes or whatever. Geico, you call Geico, you get this AI bot. It takes them about 20 minutes to get you to a human being.
Yeah. So usually if I'm calling and I start going agent until it finally gets me to somebody. It's like I'm not answering your questions, agent.
Airlines are like that too. Like good luck ever getting, you do everything online. And if you call the airlines, you're going to get like a chat bot and you might get to a human at some point. I mean, also whoever, one thing about my travels, Don, I found out it is cheaper to upgrade to business class or premium economy at the airport than it is to do it online. Because evidently it's a few dollars less if you do it at the airport than if you do it online. That's what one of the guys there told me.
I think it's all, there's so many factors that it just depends. I mean, we learned, this trip that we took overseas, I had received these, what they call system-wide upgrades on American, and they had to be used by next March. And so, but that allows you to buy a cheap ticket and then upgrade to the top tier if seats are available. We didn't want to risk, with economy tickets having to jump 2 classes. So we bought the premium economy and then requested the upgrade. Now they didn't give us those upgrades on the going out to Korea until about a day before, and then coming back, we got them within the hour of returning back. But we noticed during that time while we were checking and hoping for the upgrade was that American was constantly barraging us with saying, upgrade your flight. And every day the offer changed pretty much. You know, some days it was like 985, other days it was 567. You know, so we're thinking like, you know, we do this trip again, we'll buy premium economy and then hope that they offer us something for $500 or $600, you know, and then we'll jump on that because it would be cheaper than buying the business class ticket from the get-go. But now my wife and I are totally spoiled on business class service. It's hard to, she was fretting flying premium economy, which is old business class, which isn't that bad, but once you've flown on a lie flat seat, it's kind of like it's almost impossible to go back.
I did like on United from here. I flew premium economy, which is basically like right behind first class. Okay, so it's more or less was business class.
Yeah, I mean they've gone from first class, business class, economy to then they now have business class, premium economy, and then like economy. You know, they relabeled everything. And premium economy is, you know, being the old business class is not bad.
No, it's like two seats, you know, like on United, there was no like middle seat, you know, it's like two, you know, everybody's two rows. Aisles are much bigger. The food they get, by the way, there are some county Lincoln Day dinners where I've had vegetarian meals. They could take lessons from United Airlines. They had this wonderful pasta with a red sauce, you know, and they actually had really good bread that came with it. They didn't give me enough butter, but I asked the stewardess, hey, do you have any more butter? She brought me more butter. You know, I don't know if they feed you as much in economy as they do in business class, but
no. I mean, it's you get very well treated in business class. You get good treatment, really good treatment also in you know, in the premium economy, and then just, you know, average treatment, you know, in the main cabin basically. But we were kind of stunned because, you know, we flew last year and my wife made friends with one of the flight attendants, and she spends some of her time by knitting these dish scrubbies. So it takes a special kind of, you know, yarn kind of thing like that, so you can do that. And she had given them to the woman and some of the other flight attendants, and lo and behold, we're on this flight to Korea, and we were in the second part of business class, and she was on that flight, that same flight attendant, and everything like that. And so, you know, they start getting you do a couple things for them, they will do all kinds of things.
Let me tell you, I gave away my Artemis pin to the flight crew people. I go, hey, would you like? Because I had those in my pocket. I was going to give those out also, you know. So I tell you, that's when the guy says, oh yeah, but he goes, I see you did this online, but he goes, in the future, just do it here at the airport. You'll save a few bucks. I know. And by the way, premium economy is not that much more than economy. It's like $300 more. And I think $300 to $400 more.
Yeah, I don't think it's all that much more. You might as well spend the extra money.
It's well worth it. It is well worth it, you know.
Look, if you're flying for a long period of time, pay the extra money.
Yeah. I mean, you know, what's funny, it's like domestically I'll fly whatever, you know, like Southwest doesn't even have a business class in theirs. You know, I like the A through 20 seating, you know, setup I've got. Oh, what I don't like is those grifters who fake having injury so they get to board the plane first. They're taking all the good seats up front, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, the Southwest is, you know, they totally changed their boarding policy. Yeah. So now, you know, you have to have a reserved seat. So you know, all those people.
See, I don't like that, because if I'm going to pay for reserve, pay for seating, I may as well fly American or Delta or whatever. You know,
Southwest is now just like every other airline. They're indistinguishable in that sense. I thought they got rid of the bags fly free, and they've now done reserved seating. It doesn't make them quite so unique anymore.
Yeah, and Southwest used to let you take 2 bags on. I don't know if it's still the same thing now. You get one, but now, because like Lufthansa, I had to check 1 bag and got one for free. So I ended up, because I detest carrying luggage around on carry-on. All I do is take my backpack for carry-on. And it's like, I get really irritated when people come on with these big pieces of luggage and try to shove in those overhead bins. And I was like, it's a carry-on. It's not your freaking luggage, you know. And yeah, but this is probably one of the best experiences I've had traveling overseas, you know, outside of Europe, I should say. You know, food was great. And what was funny was on the way back towards Frankfurt, they go, "What would you like for breakfast?" Like, well, if you really want to, I'd like to have a bagel, toasted bagel with cream cheese. And she goes, "Well, we have they had bagels for the people in Coach, and they had like French toast for us." I'm like, she goes, "I can get you a bagel from Coach." I'm like, "Yeah, do it."
Yeah, they'll do a lot of things. We did. My wife did meet one of the people on board whose sole role was basically she was in charge of the food. She was kind of like the chef. She was in charge of the food and everything like that. And we're like, wow, okay, that's interesting. We did.
Oh, and you know when they're handing out snacks, they actually goes, "Oh, we've got plenty of snacks. If you want more, just let us know." I'm like, wow, I've never heard of that from.
Well, yeah, I mean the way it runs on American is just that you have to kind of know what's going on. You have to understand the timing of everything with the meals, and then when there's kind of the snack section, they put the snacks usually in the galley, and you go get them. Yeah. And so, you know, if you don't go get them, you miss out on the snacks. But you know, they don't go through the cabin and hand them out because a lot of times people are sleeping anyway. But if you get up and you want to check out a snack and pick up several snacks, then do it. And they put some premium snacks out there for you. But
I mean, United had a really good brie with crackers. And
I think the best thing we wound up with was I didn't use them on the plane. Was that American? This is their 100th anniversary, so they had pajamas with 100 on them, and we weren't quite sure whether or not we could keep them or whatever. We still had them in a plastic. And the flight attendant, you know, she was so friendly with us. She gave us like 2 extra pairs of these pajamas. We're like, okay, now we got to stuff them in our carry-on among everything else. But I tried them on when I got home, and I'm like, doggone, if these aren't like some of the softest, most comfortable pajamas I've ever worn in my entire life.
That'd be interesting if they had American Airlines lingerie.
You know, you never know what you're going to get. You know, you get those amenity kits. Yeah. And you know, whatever. And
well, you know what's funny is, and this is the one thing I did not like, you know, and that's just me. They put a pillow and they give you a blanket. I'm like, what am I going to do? I don't need a blanket because, you know, those seats have the nice neck rests. I don't need a pillow for my neck. But so I don't just throw my pillow and blanket into the overhead bin, frankly, because I don't need it. You know.
Well, what they added this year compared to last year on American was basically a bed cover. I mean, I didn't even know what the thing was. There was an extra bulky package in the seat. I'm like, what the heck is this? And you know, this is you're basically supposed to put that like a bed sheet, put that down on your thing when you're going to go to sleep and go lie flat. So I think apparently my wife saw somebody who didn't understand that and actually wore it. And I'm like, okay, well that's just because people weren't sure what to do with it. It was just like it was there and there was no explanation for it, and nobody had ever seen it where you'd actually go and you'd actually cover your seat, you know, as a kind of as a sheet and everything like that to lie down on.
That's too much trouble for a flight, frankly.
Well, it's more stuff, and they have these. You know, the way, at least on American, is with the seats and you know business classes. It's a pretty good area, and they've got a footwell in there. But you're by FAA regulations, like you can't stick luggage in there. That's a violation. That's a $10,000 fine. But I guess you can put some of the extra stuff like a pillow or whatever in there because they just throw so much stuff into your seating area. You're like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to put all this stuff?
By the way, the other thing in business class, there's plenty of room in the overhead bins. You don't have people packing. And the other thing, which is really great, no crying children. No screaming children. I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, well, usually people don't want to pay for that.
You know, and it was nice. By the way, Frankfurt Airport, I had no idea. I forgot how big it was. It is a huge airport. Very huge, that airport. Getting from, and I don't know if this is like Lufthansa thing, because other people have told me Lufthansa, when you're leaving, They take you on a bus out to the tarmac, and it's like you're the president. You go up the stairs, and
well,
like,
Dwight, when you say Frankfurt Airport's big, you're not referring to the capital of Kentucky, are you?
no, no.
Because I would think that'd be a small airport.
There are services though, like if you're like a top tier of Delta, they will push like in a limo and take you right to the plane.
Oh, well, people in wheelchairs, they get trucked out and they get those, those trucks that they use to bring food into the car. They put them all in wheelchairs in there and they get to get out of that. I saw that too. I wanted to go up and do the wave, like the president does, but Miss Sabrina did not think it would be appropriate to do that. So,
one of the most, one
of
the most famous airports in all of Europe was in Berlin, the Tempelhof Airport, and that's gone now, but that's where we were flying in I think supplies to West Berlin.
The airlift. For the airlift, right?
Yeah, so that'd be historic, but they got rid of that one, I heard. So I guess they built it on.
Remember, we also gave up our air base there. Now that's all part of the Frankfurt Airport. That's also what makes it really big too.
Oh, really? Okay.
But let's get to some news instead of travel talk.
But last point on that. But one airport we should not have given up, and this is another reason that Joe Biden was a disaster. Bagram. We shouldn't have given up the Bagram Air Force Base, the airport there. Should have kept it.
And didn't Joe Biden also compare the aid he was sending to the Hamas terrorists with the Berlin airlift?
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah, or maybe it wasn't him or someone on his staff, or another Democrat. I don't know.
President Autopen, maybe.
Yeah.
But Chris, how goes the campaign?
Busy as usual. We're obviously in that primary sprint now, so we're trying to jam in 1 or 2 events per day. We're going to try to get 7,000 to 8,000 handwritten letters out before early voting. We're doing a lot of phone banking at this point, and then we're going to start doing a drumbeat text messaging campaign where once or twice a week you'll get a text message with the logo, my face, the vote for Burnett, and send in a Marine. But just keeping as busy as possible. I think I told you on 3 June, if you all are available, we're going to be down at Capitol Hill Club for lunch. It's not a fundraiser. It's really just an opportunity to grab lunch if anybody's available.
Yeah,
then 10 June,
10
June, we'll be out at Holly Hills Country Club up in Frederick for a fundraiser. And 2 of the guns from the original gun bash were donated back to us. Whenever I presented them to the winners, they said, hey, do it again. So we're going to do a small group raffle on the 10th where maybe 20 to 30 people will be in on a raffle for 2 different guns. The shotgun is worth $1,400. The rifle is $1,300.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but good. Everything's good. Definitely gaining a lot of steam going into the primary.
Buddy, have you seen the Trone and Delaney ads? How nasty they're getting. She voted with Donald Trump.
Yeah, Trone's ads have been just like vicious.
She voted with President Trump. Is she even a Democrat? And then she runs ads, David Trone and Ron DeSantis and MAGA. It's like...
I can tell you the feedback that I'm getting is that these are not working. People do not like either of them. In the out of touch, out of district, multimillionaire playing national politics at our expense, that mantra is starting to pick up. I mean, we got to get through the primary, but I really like the matchup. I think we have the makings of a big upset.
When I don't know if you've met Todd Loxton, the mayor of Frostburg. We were talking at dinner at the convention. And one of the things we did talk about was there's an old paper mill that's abandoned in Cumberland.
Yes.
That'd be an ideal place for a data center.
100%. Not only did it have, it has power generation capability, whether you wanted the small modular reactor, it had water treatment on site. And by its location, yes, 100%. And then if you look at the innovation corridor, you could also align it with advanced manufacturing and you have that jobs boom that they need. I couldn't agree more.
I mean, Cumberland used to be the second largest city in the state of Maryland, behind Baltimore.
When you look, and then all the problems they're having with water treatment in Allegheny in particular, if you can pass that cost on to a data center developer to assume some of that burden and really alleviate the strain that's been put on an otherwise stretched community, there's really no downside because you convert a site that's not being used. You're aligning to the AI economy. You're producing energy. You're providing treated water. I've been out and I visited the site. I've met with folks out there. We've agreed that if we could just get the state out of the way and we can set the conditions, a great opportunity for development.
Yes. And we've got some people on our own team that are dead set against data centers, frankly, which I think is why are we agreeing with what Democrats are saying? If the Democrats are for something, it can't be that great of an idea.
Not only is it's not a great idea, it doesn't stand up to any questioning whatsoever. Like it's almost there's just a visceral reaction to wherever the wind is blowing that day. But the reality is we should be on the side of development. We should be on the side of strategic growth to create opportunity for people. We want to address the affordability crisis created by a supermajority of Democrats. Probably want to do the opposite of whatever they're saying, which is, in this case, align to national security priorities and get behind strategic growth.
Yep. Totally agree.
And Chris, just out of curiosity, does anybody do any polling in that race of yours?
We haven't done any formal polling just because it costs money that we don't want to spend on it. The way we view it is we're looking at it as we're running if we're behind. If you start looking at some of the prediction websites, the prediction for gambling, it has me at about a 5-point lead on Mariella, and it has Ficker almost off the chart of unelectable. Now, that doesn't really measure sentiment. We're not taking that as gospel. We're viewing that as one indicator of sentiment that we have an edge, but we really need to sprint to the primary because it's really up in the air. I think you have more undecided than you do have confirmed votes at this point.
Yep, and I think I think you'll be fortunate on election night. You'll be celebrating.
We're gonna work like we're down by 20 until the last second, and that's all I know.
And
how to do.
Then it's just a sprint to Washington, basically. After that,
well, I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to debate Trone or Delaney. I mean, in my opinion, you want to talk about two empty vessels, man.
Yeah. And I tell you, John Delaney, when he was in Congress, he was like, do you remember that old 70s show that Leonard Nimoy used to host called In Search of?
Yes.
Yeah, I felt like that about him, in search of a congressman, because he was nowhere to be seen in the 6th district. He was as elusive as Bigfoot in Western Maryland.
What's fascinating about him, if he really wanted to be a hometown hero, and he had spent the $100 million that he has used campaigning over the last decade, he could have transformed entire regions. He could have made that into a trust. He could have given out small loans, grants, or investments, and could have quite literally effectuated all of the change that he's talked about in real time. But instead, this is about ego and status, and really at the expense of residents.
And let me tell you, this fight is getting nastier by the day. You have Angela Alsobrooks, I believe, and Westmore and Chris Van Hollen are lining up behind April McLean Delaney.
They really
just
are.
like, and we're seeing that in PG County too. Steny Hoyer is already endorsed the guy that Westmore and Alsobrooks and Brave Boyd. And it's like, what is going on with you people? Yes, we are having Pizza and Politics next week, Craig. And our guest is going to be Delegate Chris Tomlinson from Carroll County. He's going to tell us about the bad, the really bad, and the downright ugly and insane stuff that happened in the session this past 90-day session, which I, like many people, and I think William Donald Schaefer is the one that coined the phrase, the Maryland legislator meets 89 days too many.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they talked about affordability, and they did absolutely nothing in Annapolis. And this is where I get back to people asking me, what can I do in Congress? So you've got an incredible carrot and a stick to get Annapolis out of its own way. Like, if they can talk for 90 days about affordability and then save folks $12 a month on their bill, there's something truly wrong.
And now they're patting themselves on the back for that $12 saving they're getting.
They went on
Ferguson says, we just saved you $12, and it's kind of insane the way they're doing it,
His touting that is like the Iranians' economic plan to give everybody $7. Do you remember that one? It's kind of like the $12 Maryland plan. But.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny about speaking of the war of liberation in Iran. I think one. I think we'll be fine in what we're doing. I think we'll be able to knock this. We'll be able to achieve regime change without boots on the ground. But I tell you, it's good that the looks like they've got a deal. Knock on wood. They've got a deal for extending the ceasefire 60 days. I mean, which means hopefully it doesn't mean they're going to regroup and rearm themselves. Because, by the way, to agree with Lindsey Graham on why are we even trusting the Pakistanis? The Pakistanis are sending trains with supplies to the Iranians.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we letting them in the middle of this negotiation? I, for one, do not trust Pakistan to be an honest broker here, frankly.
No, I agree.
And they're another country that's got the nuclear bomb, and they also have not signed on to the MAD first strike, treaty. So, and Pakistan is run by a bunch of lunatics right now. It's not what's the name, Bhutto or General Zia that's running Pakistan. You got some crazy wackos that brought in Sharia law.
No Musharraf.
Yeah, Musharraf was a little iffy, but I mean, I didn't appreciate Musharraf taking a crack at the U.S. when they had that earthquake in Pakistan. He goes, look, in America, 9/11 happened. They haven't rebuilt the World Trade Centers yet, and I didn't appreciate that from Perv Musharraf.
Well, that was Ray Nagin's line. Remember in Louisiana after Katrina, he said, "Yeah, it take us a while to rebuild, but they're still rebuilding at ground zero." So
yeah, Ray Nagin's in jail now, or out of jail now, but he did go to jail. Yeah.
Speaking of that, you remember the guy who ran against DeSantis the first time? He ended up in jail. Remember? He had a drug.
Andrew Brightwell or Andrew something or another.
Gilliam? Was it Gilliam? Gilliam?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
And that was a close race, remember?
Yeah, it was.
That's when Florida was very much a swing state.
I was.
By the way, I'm
race.
also hearing there's stuff coming about our friend the Republican, one of the Republicans running for governor, Huntley, is that he's got some baggage, and Floridians would be better to vote for their lieutenant governor for governor in their primary, frankly. Just because we don't want to lose the governorship in Florida.
No.
Dave, it's funny you mentioned that it's almost hard to remember DeSantis, that first race. I was living in Florida at the time. I was at U.S. Southern Command. And that he was not the presumptive winner. Like I remember that race unfolding.
Putnam was the darling. He was the one that was supposed to win, the ag commissioner.
And now you look at DeSantis, you would never even think of him in that light of being somewhat of like a rookie underdog, sort of out of his league. I remember.
And Don, we knew Adam Putnam when he worked for Leadership Institute. And his sister worked there too, actually. I forget his sister's name, but I know Adam worked at LI for a while.
Was that Kara?
Kara Putnam, yeah.
Oh, was it Kara? I knew her. I worked for her. I didn't know she was related to Adam.
Well, Adam also worked at LI.
I didn't remember that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they both worked at LI. Okay. And Adam went on to become the ag commissioner,
So it was Andrew Gillum in Florida.
Yes. And the former mayor of Tallahassee. I know. But yeah, so we're at 8:00. Time for final thoughts, Don. We'll start with you. Final thoughts.
Start with me.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Chris, it was interesting what you're talking about Delaney and the money. Made me think that, think about all the money that is spent by political campaigns and a lot of self-made millionaires, on their campaigns. But what if that money was directed at other projects where they really needed funding? I mean, do we not spend way too much money on some of these campaigns that, the Massey campaign, that whole fight was a big one. We're just seeing, records amount of money spent on a lot of campaigns. If there's all that money sloshing around, too bad it can't be redirected at things that are better than a lot of these politics and politicians and things like that. But anyway, you gave me some food for thought when you were mentioning that. But anyway, so we had a couple other things. So the Democrats released their election autopsy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what took them so long. The DNC chair came under a lot of fire. I mean, it wasn't going to be pretty. We knew that because 2024 was a disaster for them. But holding it back, and the excuses that Ken Martin gave were pretty pathetic about that. Enough that liberals attacked him for withholding the information. And I think that's just another nail in the coffin on the Democrats. The only, my only concern, and I'll probably say this from now until November, is just, Donald Trump is kind of the wild card in the whole race for 2026, because his policies will determine, and his behavior will probably largely, determine in effect how this goes. I mean, he's, he made a big push on redistricting, which, may be a wash. Maybe it'll give the Republicans a little bit of an edge. Maybe it backfires. We haven't seen all the after effects yet. There's still some cases going on here where I think they're challenging him in court and whatnot. Trump just got, I think just before the show went on the air, a judge ruled that he's got to take his name off of the Kennedy Center, which I thought was a stupid. I don't really need the Donald J. Trump and John F. Kennedy Center.
And we do need the Donald J. Trump $250 bill, though. We do need that.
That is like the ultimate kiss up, from your staff or whatever. Somebody put him up to like, oh yeah, we need Donald Trump's picture on the.
Also, if you get a passport this year, I believe President Trump's picture is going to be in the passport too.
That's a limit, right? It's a limited edition passport too, right? They're not. It's
too bad they take them back when you need to renew. Otherwise, it'd be a collector's item. You can see it on eBay in 25 years.
Well, usually they just punch.
They bring them back to you, but they punch holes in them, so it kind of devaluates the.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's just.
It's like a collector's item is only as good if it's its original package.
There's no doubt that President Trump is making his mark. His name is, between getting his name on everything he can, signing our currency, gold plating statues and stuff like that. Just all these kinds of things. There'll definitely be a mark. He'll win some, he'll lose some. But
wait till we rename DC to DT, District of Trump.
Well, I mean, look, I mean, they've got this whole thing about the whole 250th, what is it called? The fair or whatever they have.
The Great American
where these music artists are dropping out. I guess it's not clear to me whether or not they actually had agreed to perform to begin with. So it's, and anything run by Trump, you're always going to figure out, it's like, is this going to be just a celebration of America, or would Trump use it as a way to just drive another wedge between him and the liberals, and and just expose the liberals for all the fraud and everything like this? But we've got a remarkable opportunity coming up here in not less than 2 months. It's just America's 250th. How many times? This is it. I mean, this is my last hurrah, right? I mean,
America 300. Was he Maryland? Was he Maryland 300, Don? Because that's only a few years away.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm definitely too old to be to live for the next 50. But so it's this I'm probably more excited about this than maybe even the bicentennial. It's just, I think, knowing that this is the last kind of time I'll have to really celebrate America in that fashion. So, but I love what I'm seeing. With all the things that are coming out in general about celebrating America. And I think if there was going to be a president besides, say, Ronald Reagan, Trump was the guy that's going to make this a big deal. Do you remember? I remember 76, but I also remember 1986. Remember when Lee Iacocca restored the torch on top of the Statue of Liberty? That was the year we had the tall ships coming to New York Harbor again. Here's the thing.
1976, America was a divided country in 1976, probably as much as it is now, and polarizing is just about. We had hippies, we had dippies, we had all the kooks, we had, and you know something, the country came together to celebrate America. Democrats, Republicans, people who don't know what they're doing, independents, the hippies, and the conservatives, they all came together to celebrate America. I don't think we're going to see that this time. I'm willing to bet we're going to see some protests during the celebrations.
Oh, I think we will too. I think you're right, because
that's just me being cynical.
There's going to be there's an anti-Trump sentiment to all this that will factor in. And any disagreements we would have had, 40 years ago, they pale by comparison to today. We are a much more divided nation. The Democrats, the progressives, the liberal left have divided this country, like no other. And there is just, the divisiveness is just really unfortunate. And there will be a lot of Americans that will be celebrating America's birthday on July 4th, but there's going to be a lot of others that will be protesting because Donald Trump is in charge.
Yep.
And that is going to be a shame, because we are all Americans.
And I think they would have done the same thing. I think they'd do the exact same thing if it was President George W. Bush.
No, I don't think so. I don't. Donald Trump is very polarizing in the sense that he has done things without regard to what does it, what's the fallout? What are the consequences? If he thinks it's right and he's going to make further an agenda, whatever that is, he is going to do it. So, I mean, I think he leaves his aides bewildered at times. He definitely leaves conservatives bewildered, in times like this. Just, you think you have it all under control, and the next thing you know, he does this, and, we don't know really where he's going. In the grand scheme of things, we've moved forward. We've moved the ball forward. But there are all these little things that go on along the side that kind of are distractions along the way, and give the liberals little openings to kind of go in there and do things. We should have been able, without those, we should have been able to just steamroll the Democrats in November. Right now we're going to get by, but we're not going to have any. It's not like we're going to have a wave of any kind. We just need to make sure we stop the Democrats from taking over.
You know what happens? The Democrats take over. They're going to impeach President Trump. They're going to impeach RFK. They're going to impeach, Pete Hegseth. They're going to try and do all these little shenanigans to get rid of President Trump.
Well, whatever legislative agenda Donald Trump has ends if Democrats get control. That's what it comes down to. Just one last thing. The Pope released I think it was a 42,000 word encyclical on artificial intelligence. Kind of interesting that he did that. That's a lot of words to read. But I think overall, he understands that there's good and then there's bad, right? I mean, you've got to, it's like a lot of other things. We've seen a world where artificial intelligence can be used for some bad things, but overall, I think it has a lot of usefulness for us in our lives. So it's interesting to see the Pope, though, just go ahead and say it was important enough that he needed to kind of tell the world and tell his followers, this is where the church stands on this. So that's it. Back to you.
Okay, Dave, final thoughts.
All's well. I got my 3 columns up this week, so check it out. And hopefully I'll get 3 more this week.
Cool. Chris, final thoughts?
Well, I hope I'll see you all on the 3rd at Capitol Hill Club. Lunch is on me, sort of. There's you gotta do some fundraising here and there. And then we'll be out in Allegheny on the 4th. We'll be at the Civil Discourse Club on the 5th up in Frederick, Holly Hills on the 10th. But Don, to your point, I think we've reached a point where we've celebrated marginalized groups to the detriment of having a common sense of purpose and direction. And we've deconstructed any common sense of purpose and direction in the name of making it easier for someone to say they're not meeting the standard. And when you celebrate weakness and you make excuses for behavior and you make excuses for all these soft edges, you find it unable to celebrate what I think make this country great, which is we are the land of 100% freedom, liberty, innovation, individual spirit. And the fact that we can't celebrate those things and we can't recognize that we are where we are, we can have this debate because of the sacrifice of other peoples, and we can't put that aside for one night to celebrate it, is a shame. I can't wait to see what President Trump does for the 250th. I think it's going to be an incredible event. I think we should stop and celebrate the sacrifice of so many people before us. And if Democrats can't get on board with that and they can't see the value in celebrating the country that gives them the ability to deconstruct and re-examine and celebrate all these ridiculous things, then they're maybe beyond redemption. So I look forward to the coming weeks as we get ready for the 250th. And as the campaign ramps up for the primary, I'm going to be celebrating every single day the greatest country in the world, country that I fought for 22 years for, and I want to continue to serve. So I'm looking forward to this summer.
I cannot agree with you more. I spent 10 days out of this country in 4 different countries. And I would say there's nothing like you appreciate America more when you come back. I mean, I went to democracies. It's not like I went to, communist China or anything like that. I went to democratic countries, but, there's just something, it doesn't feel quite like America, whether it be India, whether it be Switzerland, whether it be Japan, whether it be Germany. There's something about it that, and I think that's what makes America special, is the fact that there is, hey, you can come on and say hi. Hey. But, and I wrote an article about coming back, and I cannot believe by the way, our club is doing something awesome because we got Democrat trolls now, Don, that basically attack for every article. I mean, I didn't think my article was that partisan. I just talked about how great it is to be back in America. He goes, what do you say? There's other countries that are great too. I didn't say that Germany wasn't great, but we're greater. There's no German exceptionalism. There's American exceptionalism. There's no, Japanese, Indian, or Swiss exceptionalism. It's American exceptionalism. What makes us great is the fact that we were never ruled by kings. Let us begin, lefties. What's that? You
had trolls on that article. You just saying, I'm glad to be home.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's like I talked about, I also praised the countries I went to. It's not like I said, these countries all suck because they can't make a decent pizza and I can't find a decent bagel to save my life. And the sodas all taste funny because they use real sugar instead of artificial fructose. And by the way, German Doritos, not as good as American Doritos. God bless the chemicals and all the other stuff we put into our Doritos. But I had a lot of fun. It was great. But there's nothing like coming home again, I mean, I remember, by the way, clearing customs at Dulles Airport was wonderfully, very pleasurable. It has not been, then again, the last time I went, coming through customs was not a big deal either. But I had a lot of fun. And also check out my article on MontgomeryCountyRepublicanclub.com, along with the many other great articles we have. My article is titled, Nothing Like Leaving America to Appreciate America. Every liberal should read that and take it to heart, frankly, instead of just trolling and saying it's a horrible article. We're a horrible, despotic nation, And it was great because we have no kings. Yeah, I said that again, Democrats. No kings. And but check it out. We got a lot of other great articles. We got you can always catch Governor Ehrlich's commentaries on his podcast. Subscribe to it. And that's all I've got. And remember, when you go to Missoni's, you get a discount if you mention Bob and Kendall's podcast. Good night, everyone.
Good to be back. Good night.
Yeah, good night. See you next week. Bye.
Let's go down to Missoni's, where Italian cuisine shines. Let's go down to Missoni's. We'll have a good